You've seen my list of world promoted premium plants, so here's my list of premium plants that are essentially general purpose. Wait, what's that? You've not seen the world promoted list? Well, you can check that out after this video. Anyway, this list covers those that started off as money plants, not tied to worlds, and then in some cases became Gemium or Seedium plants, although I won't be covering recently released seed packet premiums such as soybean, pod and pumpkin, because there's just too many to keep up with. I also won't be doing limited edition plants like the Blooming Heart due to my lack of experience with some of them. I'm GMVS, let's go. At the bottom spot is the pomegranate. This ranking seems a bit far-fetched considering that it's pretty much objectively better than the cherry bomb, and because the grape shot made it to the top of the other list, which is also an upgrade to the cherry. So you're probably a bit stuck on why this one is at the bottom while the other is at the top. Well, let me tell you child, the grapes are far more powerful than the seeds of the pomegranate, and the latter is only strong enough to kill the equivalent of a basic zombie with one seed tile, while you can kill most gargantuans with the Formers explosion and resultant grapes. So not only is the pomegranate not worth the money due to simply being a cherry bomb with a slight buff, but there is literally no reason to buy it over the grape shot, which completely outclasses it. Update, I was just reminded on a community post that the pomegranate was a seed packet plant, and I think still is. I logged into the game and it turns out I actually do have it, so guess I'm kind of wrong about the old price thing now. It's not worth it because the grape shot's the same price. So yeah, I completely forgot I had it. But I still never use it anyway because cherry bomb rules, yeah? 15 is the snow pea. I hate to do this, and in terms of design, the snow pea is possibly in the top 15. Look at him, what a handsome lad. But this plant is so outclassed that it can't score any higher by any means. I pretty much broke down why the fire pea shooter is better in the world promoter list, but it goes without saying that this plant is a blatant waste of money with all the other chilling plants that exist. Snow pea is also hurt by the fact that it's never not been a money plant, so there's not been a chance to swoop in and throw away 100 gems for this guy. 14 is the power lily. The advantage is that creating plant food is something no other plant can do, so it's not outclassed. The downside is that creating plant food isn't that useful as 1, the game gives more plant food nowadays, and 2, you can usually just use instant kills and whatnot anyway, instead of bringing this somewhat costly plant in. While I'm sure there's some great strategies involving the lily, it's just not for me. Unlucky 13 is a kiwi beast. Despite being 13, this plant is a big improvement over the ones before it. It's like a fat beet on steroids, although it goes through several stages before finally being eaten. The damage is pretty good, and it's also great in Begouled levels as long as you don't swap them too much, as otherwise you may lose them when in full form. The reason for the low placement is that it's pretty much pointless if an instant kill zombie is present, so its use is rendered pretty limited. 12 is the imitator. Now, I almost excluded this one from the list because it can turn into any other one, but in terms of functionality, it's a lot more useful than on the first game. There's more plants with a slow recharge. It also is used with other premium plants such as Power Lily and Gold Bloom. The primary disadvantage is that it can't be used to imitate some plants and levels with several but not all plants picked for you, and that it's pricey, but if it becomes Gemium again, it is recommended to get. 11 is the Starfruit. While this is a fairly generic plant in theory, it's a pretty good support plant that can sometimes remove the need to use 2 ranged plants per lane. Attacking from behind also makes it a good counter for levels with pterodactyls, and it's an excellent tool for plants covered by octopi. Of course, its place as a premium plant can kind of be brought into question, but now it's a seed packet plant, so get them while you can. Into the top 10 is the solar tomato. This plant is a little weird. It produces sun and stun zombies. What a weird combination. That's like writing a political speech in one hand or drawing a rainbow with the other. Anyhow, this plant is good if you're not stupid and just use it on one zombie, and that's throwing away 100 sun for just 50. Now that would be like dumping Megan Fox for Cardi B. Enough with the similes. Think about the sun banking potential this plant has. A flock of chickens? Yes, yes, yes. An easy way to get expensive plants set up relatively quickly. The 9th spot goes to the apple mortar. While I kind of hate this plant due to it being introduced in those god-awful pinata parties with the big-headed zombies, it's packed with power nonetheless. It is similar to a powered dust globber. While the lob is cheap and does splash damage, it also relies on the moonflower to be of any real use, and the mortar has stun abilities, so enough of them can stall a single zombie forever. While not an insane plant, it's a good one to use early on in levels due to covering multiple lanes, and it's 50 sun cheaper than the 3 Peter. 8 is the Torchwood. Now, although I've always liked this guy, if it wasn't for his major buff in 2019, he would be much lower down the list. But now, in addition to his pea lighting abilities, he does touch damage and burns jalapeno style when eaten, so he's much more useful. Using a combination of the Pea-like abilities along with the Enduring and Hot Day-esque abilities is the best way to use Torchwood, as it costs 175 sun, which can be a little expensive if you don't make the most out of its newfound functionality. All in all, it's a great plant, and I hope there's more plants that are buffed in the future. 7 is the Exploder Nut. Another plant returning from the first game, and it counts alright. This plant is the genetic fusion of a walnut and cherry bomb. It's an easy kill for most instant killing zombies, and by giving a plant food you can kill most gargantuas. In some cases, it can be a cherry bomb that is a third of the price. I find it better than the hot days, as killing an area of zombies is usually more beneficial than a lane of zombies, although the day does attract zombies, so it can be just as good if you use it right. The Exploder Nut's downside is that a few zombies such as explorers can destroy it without being damaged, and others like wizards can disable it as normal, but this plant still kicks major A. 6 is the Cauliflower. Granted, this is another one of those plants with an eye-roll worthy name, but this Hypnoshroom meets Electric Blueberry plant has some excellent zombie thrashing potential. While its chance of targeting a strong zombie that could actually do with the hypnosis is limited, it can affect practically any zombie, even instant killers. It's also a great plant in arena, as you can rack up points big time with it, and the zombies are tougher, so you can just get around that by transforming them. 5 is the Electric Pea Shooter. You know, I've got a bit of flack for constantly dumping on the lightning reed, but honestly that's been outclassed by this Garden Warfare inspired plant, as it can not only hit every zombie in its lane, but its shots can attack other lanes, making it great for groups of weak zombies. His shots can also penetrate shields and damage Jester zombies. The only disadvantage is that his plant food isn't the best, but other than that, a great one. 4 is the Jalapeno. He may have missed the top 3, but Big Jow was my favourite premium plant back in the day. Burning a whole lane is great for killing hordes of zombies, and unlike the Cherry Bomb, there are no upgrades or improvements over this plant, so it's not outclassed in any way. Although taking out a lane is not usually as useful as taking out a 3x3 area, there are some situations where Big Jow is very good to use, such as zombies dragged by pterodactyls, taking a Gargantua and a Zimp out at the same time if they're far apart, killing imp cannons, and getting rid of a troglodyte and his blocks of ice. There's no real disadvantage to this plant at all, so it's recommended to be one of the first ones you get with gems. Bronze medal goes to the Squash. The high ranking may seem a little extreme, but it massively benefited from the level system, as once you upgrade it to level 3, it can smash twice, and returning to the tile counts as a smash, so you can kill gargantuas for just 50 sun. But in general, it's nice to have a plant that can quickly take out a single high health target, given that most others have their disadvantages. The only annoying things about the Squash is that he often targets zombies behind him when you want him to hit the one in front, and that if you already target a zombie, you can't feed him plant food. However, the pure power of this plant more than makes up for these two little pet peeves, and it's one of the best premium plants in the game. Runner-up spot goes to the Gold Bloom. I nearly kept the Bloom off the list as well, as it was one of those 3 epic quest plants, and they are all now obtained in different ways. The Electric Current is a limited Gemium plant, while the Aloe is a limited seed packet obtained plant that nobody uses. But I kept it on due to being one of the most lusted after plants in the game. When it's first introduced, I obtained the plant through the quests, and has been a frequent choice since, especially in levels in later world where waves start really quickly. While it's rarely good to use this as your only sun producer, it's so good at enabling an early fence that it makes it to number 2 on this list, and in my opinion is the one that is most worth the money. It's also an excellent hack for Dark Ages levels, basically invalidating the use of some of the mushrooms. The cream of the crop is the Wasabi Whip. This tops the list for a similar reason to the Grape Shot on the other one. Taking one of the best plants of the game and making it even better, and unlike the Pomegranate, this plant's buffs are actually useful. It is more damaging, has a great range, and is a great plant to use in Frostbite Caves for warming tiles around it. An interesting side note is that it prioritises zombies behind it. Although this isn't as much of a disadvantage as it is for the Squash, as planting it behind weak zombies could save you from a level in the correct circumstances. It also attacks faster from behind compared to forwards. The plant has countless uses, and there is no drawback to using it at all, and it's the number 1 plant on this list. Take a hike, Bong Choy, you've been outdone. Don't know why I said that, I don't even have the Wasabi Whip. That's my list. Please remember to give this video a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you soon.